Hey, Brandon here. If you're new here, I'm a channeler, I'm an intuitive, I facilitate energy healing, and so much more, of course. And today I have a special treat. I took a portion of a full channel mode session from one of the channeling day events that I've facilitated called Finding Your Happy. That was the title I heard for it. I believe that one occurred, I facilitated that in June or July. Regardless, one of the things I've experienced with this one is after I facilitated it, I was guided to re-listen to it. And I'd rather you not put any expectations on it or what you're going to get out of this. However, what I found was even just a couple days after I was guided to listen to it and go through it, I I mean, I'm already generally happy in my life. I became happier than I'd been in a very long time, like very happy, very joyful in the work I was facilitating and other things. And that lasted for about a week or two, and I bet I could get it to last longer. I mean, I'm already generally happy, so it was just like this like next level. And I was talking to my higher guides today because I knew this was going to be what was going to be going on with the podcast for this episode, and they were saying, I was like, oh, I think it would be a good idea if I did that like, every week or so. Like, what if I did that like every week? And they're like, that's a really good idea. Because then I consistently I'm hearing like consistently stepping myself up to that level or moving my energies in that direction or removing things in the way of my happiness or at the very least allowing the chance for the universe to gift me more happiness. So, and sometimes when you watch things or put things on, it's like you're kind of this isn't the full story. You kind of have to look at a couple different things potentially as well. However, it is telling the universe like, hey, I'd like this. Like if I listen to Finding Your Happy, I'm saying like, hey, universe, I'd like more happiness. In addition to the actual energetic work that's done through that, audio, video, the channel, etc., in addition to whatever it contributes to me or gifts me and I receive from it. So, I also, of course, look at like, well, am I divinely guided to watch or listen to this? Am I getting a yes on this? What about the facilitator? What about the work? Like, you can look at all that different stuff. I don't just do that willy-nilly with everything. Of course, so trust your intuition. All that being said, however, if you listen to this and you like it, you get something out of it, you can actually purchase Finding Your Happy, the full length of the Channeling Day event, which is about an hour and 55 minutes, if I recall correctly, either as a one off on the store, brandonhbloom.com/store, or you can join the Let's Go Higher membership in the Channeling Day Pass, the silver level or gold level, and you'll be able to stream it there on any of those tiers of the Let's Go Higher membership as well. And you can also find that at brandonhbloom.com, either in the store or there's a tab, when you go to the website. So without further ado, I'm going to check if there's anything else that's good for me to say before we jump over to the full channel mode session. Mm, I really appreciate you being here. I really hope this is a contribution. And again, if you like this, you can find more from me through the links in the description below or in the show notes or at brandonhbloom.com. Okay. I hope this is a contribution to you. Welcome to Finding Your Happy. That is what we would title this. For you are all worthy of happiness. You came here to be happy. You came here to be joy. Some of you might think, oh, that's someone else's mission. I'm here to struggle for the collective, struggle and fight for mm, human rights, struggle and fight for this group. And that's all well and good. If that brings you joy and that fills you up and you are fulfilled and it lights you up and you have a fire around that, perfect. Go ahead and choose that. Go ahead and start advocating for those groups. Now, we will say that fight energy and struggle energy, those aren't going to create your greatest future. So, how could you advocate or generate a greater future for those groups with ease? We would advise you to ask that question over choosing to fight or struggle where it might not create greater to fight or struggle. Fight or struggle energy always has a locked energy to it. It stops the flow. It doesn't necessarily create greater. And now, while yes, if you have to defend yourself physically, yes, go ahead. Uh, we are not saying don't defend yourself or don't hold a boundary where is required. No. What we are saying is anywhere you are choosing a fight, you are coming from this presumed reality that a fight is needed, usually, or that a fight will create greater. It never really works that way. Now, sure, you could use the example of a love relationship where the two beings involved in choosing that relationship with each other get into a fight and it leads to a conversation where there's a breakthrough and greater is created. We would say that fight wasn't necessary. They could have had a conversation and communicated their requirements and desires in the relationship well ahead of time. They could have been much more upfront with what they required in the situation or the dynamic. Mm. The second a boundary began to be breached in subtle ways, they could have found a way to gently, perhaps lovingly, perhaps kindly communicated what would work for them, or perhaps in a different way at a different time when they found the words to communicate it in a way where the other being in the relationship could receive it. Now, if you're in a relationship where the other being in the relationship, the other person can't receive your boundaries at all, we would advise you to question that relationship. Why are you with someone who can't receive you communicating what you require? Who can't receive the idea that you might require something different than how the dynamic currently is? Is that really serving you to stay in that situation? Now, the fight might show up when someone goes too far, someone is triggered, someone is having a tough time one day, and we're not telling you to judge it. And it can lead to communication that leads to greater for those two beings choosing to be in that relationship. So we're not saying fighting serves no purpose or that nothing good can come out of a fight at the end of the day. We're just saying it's not necessary, and it may not be your greatest choice as far as how you choose to proceed in certain situations, including advocating for certain groups on the planet. There may be a much more effective way than fight energy or struggle energy. What if you asked what space you could be that would change the situation? What if you asked Source what you could choose, what you could be, what actions you could take to contribute to changing a situation and followed your intuition and knowing on it instead of just assuming it required a fight, required you to go to battle, go to war? What other possibilities are there for you for fulfilling something you have a fire and are lit up about that don't mean fighting? So a lot of people would judge us for saying what we're saying. You don't get it. You don't get what it's like here on Earth. We have to fight. Well, that is a presumed reality, a judgment, a fixed point of view, a belief. And your beliefs create your reality. So you're actually creating the necessity of fight that doesn't actually exist unless you have to defend yourself in some type of dire physical circumstance. That's different. We have to fight for our rights. No, you have to take action for your rights. You have to choose for your rights. You have to follow your intuition and follow the breadcrumbs of your intuition. And it might be more substantial than breadcrumbs. We are just using an example. Taking action based on your intuition on what would change something. The fight's just going to lock the energy. So we speak on all this because some of you assume that fight is the best way. But what are you actually creating at that vibration? So let's move on to your happy. We speak on all this because it relates to your happy. A lot of people put your happiness in other people's hands, give your power away in that way, and then fight others when they do not give it to you. Or you use it as a reason to judge them. You use it as a reason to call them a bad person. But how much would your happiness be more available to you if you did not make that other person relevant or their choices relevant? This might sound a bit insane from a more human perspective, but hear us out when we go on this example, for it will illustrate our points. Let's say you're in love with someone, for example, and you're pinning all your happiness on them. You're pinning all your happiness on them treating you a certain way, choosing to go out with you, choosing to treat you a certain way, choosing to be with you in a certain way, choosing to give you certain things that fit your definitions of what you think you need in order to be happy, which is, again, putting your happiness in another's hands. And let's say they choose to go with or have sex with someone else. Well, if you're putting your happiness in their hands and making it very relevant and significant to you, what they choose, that's going to be devastating according to your stories. Or you may choose to go to that reaction if something like that were to occur. And you might go, oh, well, of course. Well, that's how love works. We'd say, oh, is it? Is that how it has to work? No. What if you didn't make it relevant to you or your self worth what that other being chose? What if you were happy for them choosing something that worked for them? And it had no relevance or significance to you because it didn't reflect on you. Would you have a greater and easier access to your happy? Now, we realize this is a far stretch for some of you. Some of you can't even fathom this. We're not even saying you have to get there or you have to view it like this. We're offering a perspective. And we're asking you to look at, where are you giving your power away when it comes to your happiness? Where have you decided you can't be happy, and it's actually a lie that you can't be happy there? Have you decided you can't be happy until the world heals? Well, you're going to be waiting a long time to be happy. And you're actually going to delay the healing of the world by not being happy that whole time. If you were to get happy, the healing of the world would happen far faster. How much of the healing of the world needing to happen is held in place by a perspective that the world needs to heal? What if more people could just choose to be happier, eradicate the points of view or beliefs that keep that from happening, eradicate the stories they have bought that keep that from happening? How much more healed would the world be right away? It would at least be closer to what people aim for when they aim to change the world for the greater. It would at least expedite the healing. It would at least give people a more high vibrational energy and stance and position from which to heal through what they need to heal. And it would unlock a lot of the things that were locked in place that needed to be healed. Now, we are not saying if you have a day where you get wrapped up in fight energy or a struggle within yourself, or you get wrapped up in something that's coming up for healing, a perspective, a belief, a point of view. We're not saying you are harming the world. For you might just be in your process to release something to get to a higher level of vibration and happiness. So we're not telling you to judge yourself if you're not happy. How would that be conducive to happiness? It would not be. If you were to get to more allowance when you are not in happiness, you'd have a much easier time choosing happiness from there when you desired to and were ready to. So, none of this is to force you to be happy. None of this is to force you to choose anything. It's to offer perspectives that will allow you to choose greater. So, where is your happiness? Your happiness is a choice away. Some of you don't believe us. We understand if you're down in a hole, if you are going through a something like a depression, or you've had a really bad week, you could say, to your stories. Interesting points of view. We're not saying that to be harsh. We're saying it to give you a different perspective. You can allow yourself to have a bad week. You can allow yourself to go to a lower place. If you don't have a whole point of view about it, it can shift a lot more quickly. So, again, we're telling you not to judge yourself or beat up on yourself. However, oftentimes happiness is just a choice. Oftentimes, happiness is available to you if you will choose it. And if you're not sure how to choose it, you can start by asking for it. Hey, source, what will it take for more happiness to show up for me? Hey, universe, I'd like to be happy. I'd like to choose happier and have more happiness. Please help that show up for me. Please help me to choose that. Lead me to choose that. Thank you. It's not like you're giving your power away to the universe. That is one of your powers, to ask of the universe, ask of source, and have things show up for you. And so many of you forget you can do that for the simplest of things and the most complex and biggest of things. Some of you think, oh, how do I choose to be happy? At least ask for it. Or you could ask what you could choose that would bring you to happiness and see what you get intuitively. Empower yourself to choose. You are not at the whim of the universe. You are one with the universe. You're not at the whim of the world unless you choose to be. You have oneness with the world. So your choices and your asks create. It allows different things to show up. So if you'll ask to be happy, you'll have a much greater chance of that happiness showing up. If you ask to let go of everything in the way of your happiness, you have a much better chance of your happiness showing up. If you're ever stuck, try asking. Try asking, try asking, try asking, and then go through your list of tools and you can ask, well, which tool would change this? Go through your list of videos you could watch or listen to and go, which person or video or thing could I watch or listen to that would shift this? Start going through your tools, start going through your resources, start asking questions. You have the ability to shift out of anything. Again, might sound far-fetched to some of you who think you're at the whim of everything, or you like the victim story on some level. You can choose the victim story if you'd like. For some of you, it's a necessary part of your process for now or for a temporary amount of time. At the end of the day, though, you're going to have to choose to get out of it if you'd like to live your best life. And your best life for this crowd is often going to involve choosing happiness on some level. Now, this doesn't mean you'll never choose something you don't desire to do in the moment. And follow the energy with this. So, what we mean is, let's say you don't want to go to a party or a certain friend meetup. However, when you ask your intuition, ask your divine guidance, get the energy of what it's going to be like if you go, it's very light to you or you're getting to go. Well, if it's light to you energetically to go, it's going to create more lightness for you to choose to go. It doesn't mean you have to stay for the whole night or for 12 hours. If it doesn't work, you can always go home. We say this, though, for some of you may think that choosing happiness means never doing something you don't want to do. In some ways, that is true. We highly advise you to look at the areas where you have to choose something or feel obligated to choose something. There's a lie there somewhere. You can choose not to go to work one day. We wouldn't necessarily advise it. We'd advise you to trust your intuition on it. You could see, well, which is going to create a greater future, going to work that day or not going to work that day. However, even that going to work, operating from the space of you have the choice on whether to go or not gives you more freedom and choice and will create more of a frequency of choice rather than operating from the presumption or the assumption that there is no choice, you have to go to work. Also, if you think long term, you do not have to choose going to work at that same place over and over again for the rest of your life. You have other possibilities, especially if you'll ask for them. So if you operate more from you have the choice, you can choose to go to work or not. You can also choose to keep working at that place or not. Trust your intuition with this. You can choose to get a different job. You can choose to change your energies around the current job to see if that changes things. You can choose to ask for greater possibilities for the job you already work at. You can choose to see what else is possible or ask for what else is possible. You can choose to ask the universe to make it better. You're not stuck. But if you buy that you don't have a choice, then you are more likely to become stuck for an amount of time. Or at least for however long you buy that. So many people stay in shitty situations because they think they have no choice. We'd say that's not true. You always have a choice. Even if it's just what point of view you take on a situation, you always have a choice. You always have the freedom to choose, and no one can take that away from you. And we're getting to this level of conversation. We're getting to this level of looking at choice because this is the baseline of what will create your happiness. You have to realize you have the ability to choose. Some of you are like, well, duh. Well, do you exercise it? Look at it. What do you choose as far as your points of view? What do you choose as far as who you surround yourself with? What do you choose from a sense of obligation instead of, yes, this is my choice. This is what my intuition is saying. This is what feels right to me. So I'm going to choose it. And if you ever find yourself going to the place of, oh, I'd like to choose this, but this friend might feel bad, or oh, this person might judge me, look at that, because that's where you're giving your power away. You're giving your power away to what other people think, what other people judge. It's very codependent. Even if it's with society or religion or a parent. Oh, what will this person think of me? Oh, well, that's not your most powerful moment, is it? You owning your power is more along the lines of, oh, this feels light to me. I'd like to choose this. This would bring me joy if I chose it. Boom, I'm going to choose it. It does not matter to me what other people think or judge or project. This does not mean you're choosing things that will blatantly be harmful or negatively destructive to other people. This doesn't mean go full blown narcissist and raise the town, pillage the village. It's operating from the power of your choice and your knowing and awareness, and operating from consciousness in a way that works for you. And from there, you could choose whatever you'd like to choose, including happiness, joy, your best life, at least the path and series of choices that will get you there. The second you're choosing according to someone else's judgments or rules, you're not necessarily choosing towards your best life. It may be a learning you gain from that that is important for the future. If you find yourself choosing it, there may be an awareness you gain. So it's not wrong. Even if you were to choose or not choose something because you thought we would think it was wrong, even at that point, you're giving your power away. We're not judging you as right or wrong or choices as right or wrong. We're telling you your choices will create something. And so look at what they will create. And are the things you're choosing creating what you'd like to see? And are the choices you make in the future? Will you look at what those will create so you can create what you'd like by choosing what will create what you'd like? And we're telling you that choosing according to other people's judgments is likely not going to create what you'd like, not long term. It might feel good in the moment, it might feel right in the moment. It might feel nice to have your friend validating you that you chose right to not date that person or to date that person or to take that job or not take that job. There was no wrong or right. There was just a choice in what it would create. Your happiness will come if you choose it and choose the things that will generate what has an energy of happiness to it. And you're going to have to potentially unbuy everyone else's beliefs about reality, about what's right or wrong, in order to allow your happiness in with more ease. Not all of you. Some of you are way far ahead of the game with this compared to other people. We're just letting you know that the codependence is not going to lead to happy. High quality relationships that may contribute to your happiness, and it likely will. Being codependent does not lead to high quality relationships, and it does not attract people of a high quality. It attracts people who would use that, typically. It would attract people who would take advantage of that because they see that in you. And on some level, they know they can do that. You might go, well, that sounds harsh. Those are bad people. Are they? You don't have to judge it. You just have to be aware that it's there and choose what you'd like to choose regarding the circumstances. What's going to work for you? They're not bad or good. That's just where they're operating from. What are you going to choose? It might sound like heresy to some of you who like to judge everything. Tough. We'll be heretical to your point of view. Your point of view is not significant to us. Do you see how we're not acquiescing? We're not looking for your validation with what we say. If we were to kowtow and acquiesce to your point of view or judgments and try to squeeze into the box that would not be heretical to your point of view, well, that would be limiting us. That would be limiting the message we could deliver and limiting the impact we could have for you today and for everyone showing up today. It would be a severe limitation to this channel and even to the energies of the channel. It would not be empowering to see that example from us for any of you.